Ichi the Witch Chapter 2 is officially out, and this was a really good chapter that honestly makes me confident in the longevity of the series, or at least the plan for the series going forward. Now, I wasn't planning on reviewing this series on a weekly basis, in all honesty. I just want to do Chapter 1 for first impressions and just see how the series progresses, but I do want to look over the beginning chapters if I'm able to, and give my thoughts on it, because I'm really enjoying it so far just off the beginning, and it seems like a lot of people are really starting to enjoy Ichi the Witch, and it's starting to get some hype around it, so I do want to dive in and give my thoughts on each individual chapter when I'm able to. It also just seems like a lot of fun to do, and gives me some time to work on some other stuff. But before we jump into the actual chapter, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps and shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. And if you want to see me talk about anything that is not on this channel regarding anime and manga, or news regarding anime and manga, go check out my new anime and manga podcast, Shonen Pulse, on the Panel Focus YouTube channel, where you can hear me, Yatogami, Nox, and Papa Traffy talk all things anime and manga. It'd mean the world to me if you guys go and subscribe to that channel. I'm having a lot of fun with it, and we got a lot of stuff planned out to talk about for that entire podcast for a bunch of different manga. And if you want to support the channel more directly, go and become a patron on my Patreon. For just $2 a month, you get access to my patron-only Discord server, early access to videos up to a week early that aren't chapter review videos, and other details where you can recommend me stuff to review. And I'm currently setting up stuff for potential live readings or watch parties on a bi-weekly basis once I get things figured out for that. You also get your name at the end of videos starting in September, and you can potentially get a shout out at the end of the video. I'm planning to make the Patreon and the Discord server as fun and as engaging as possible to make it worth your while. And also, if you want, go and use my referral link down below for Advanced GG, and use my code GreekWeeb10 to get up to 15% off at checkout for some really nice supplements, shakers, and thermoses from Advanced GG. Really great flavors for focus, energy, and just straight up hydration. You will really enjoy it. Now with that out of the way, on with the video. So Chapter 2 of Ichi the Witch, titled Uroro Magic, and really awesome color page showcasing Ichi and Uroro. Really cool colors. I really love it. Uzazaki knows how to draw, and her coloring is still top notch. But we start this chapter off with a bit of an exposition dump and pseudo recap, talking about the world and how magic is alive. Living magic called magics are hunted by special women, witches, as they defeat magics and acquire their power. Now, the world's greatest, most powerful, most perfect witch is the perilous beauty Discaris. She used her massive talent and awesome skills to fight the evil magic Uroro and nearly destroyed it. Obviously, this is Discaris' recounting of this situation with a bit of her ego, which I find hilarious, and it's kind of obvious based off the art style for this little recap. We go over Chapter 1 really quick, as she goes on to say that how Uroro is specifically can't be defeated by a woman, and so she had her back to the wall until Ichi showed up and took out Uroro and acquired his power, calling him a random dumb kid. As we cut to the present, saying, and that is where we are now. And I'm just gonna say this from now. Discaris' facial reactions are comedy gold. I love them to no end. We're just gonna see a wide range of her emotions throughout this entire chapter, and it's just gonna be so entertaining. As we cut to her just explaining the situation to Ichi, asking him if he kinda got all that. And he says, I feel like I could argue a few of the details from this, but I understand. As he asks, do you mind explaining the cage? As he's in a cage on top of a magic circle hovering on top of the forest. As the Scar says, did you already forget what you did? As she points to the giant destructive hole in the ground trail that he left when he accidentally used Uroro's magic for the first time by accident, saying that he should repent, that the magic he acquired Uroro turns out is incredibly dangerous. Its scientific name is the Ultra Amplification Magic. The name it goes by is King Uroro. Witches have spent the last 1,000 years trying and failing to acquire it. As the name suggests, Ultra Amplification Magic basically is what it says. It's a spell that makes magical effects, any magical effects, and amplifies them to the maximum. And not only that, that's all without practice or training, stating that you just have to pronounce the chant properly and that's it. As the result we see is the massive hole and scar on the ground that Ichi did in the previous chapter, which was honestly a really fun way to end the last chapter, and now we're really getting him being chewed out by Discaris. He says, now that the magic had 2 fingers aimed square at the magic world has been acquired by a snot-nosed monkey boy who doesn't know magic from a hole in the ground, can you see how we have a bit of a problem here? Ash says, oh well, the one saving grace, downside, is that firing it off just knocks you out for about 3 days. As, yeah, he was out for 3 whole days, as we get a really funny image of just Discaris trying to slap him awake, but to no avail, and even did like incredibly loud sound spells to try and wake him up, which did absolutely nothing, except make plants perk up. But she then presents Ichi with 2 choices. Either become her servant, aka her companion, or run and hide from the entire world as the whole magic world tries to go after him. As Ichi is thinking this over, Discaris says how unusual he actually is. He's probably the first male witch that there ever was. Witches and researchers all over the world would love to get their hands on him. Get caught and it's the guinea pig life for you, you'll be experimented on all day. Which yeah, would get Ichi concerned, but he asks Discaris if she won't do that. She says, not really. Her business is with Uroro, who's stuck inside him now. If possible, she wants to keep a close eye on him, stating that if Ichi does what she says, she'll protect him from being a literal living guinea pig from the magic world. It's then when Uroro just pops out of Ichi, stating my vote is for running away. And looks like we're going to the whole inner demon, trying to talk to the MC, try and steer him in the wrong path, will potentially end up screwing him over or trying to help him if life is on the line, but that might not end up being the case based off the later rules that we'll end up learning about this entire magic system. But the whole interaction we get with Uroro and the rest, and Discaris and Ichi in this chapter is honestly very funny, and I'm honestly gonna love to see more of them. He tries to get Ichi on his side, saying not to fall or let her fool you. She's trying to steal his power from Ichi. But he says, me though, I'll help you. Who cares if the world's out to get us? Let's run, partner. As then Ichi then just slices up the little blob of Uroro on his shoulder as it plops to the ground, and then regenerates on the other side of his shoulders, saying, oh, you startled me. And he said, what the hell was that? Who just slices somebody's head off on instinct like that? As Ichi just says, well, a weird blob grows out of my shoulder, of course I'm gonna cut it off. Plus, I sensed murderous intent. As Discaris just says, oh yeah, that'll definitely get your head lopped off, alright? As the 2 of them were just in unison over this entire interaction. And Discaris kind of knows from experience in the previous chapter as Ichi tried to stab her in the head because she had like literal killing intent towards him when they first met. So that first-hand experience is definitely there. It's then Discaris literally just drops an entire big lore drop on how magics end up working, saying that she really knows that Uroro wants Ichi to just go against the Witches Association and get himself killed, because magics are set free once their master ends up dying, which ends up showcasing that when a magic ends up having their test passed by somebody, they end up becoming essentially not just a part of the witch or given their magic, they're basically like the companion, the witch is their master, so it's like a contract. If they die, they're set free. The magics are set free if they're dead. But instead of denying it, Uroro just says, you think I'd stop there? Let's say for half a sec that I accept the fact that this snot-nosed monkey acquired me. That's just how the rules are supposed to work. However, cooperating with witches? Nah, no way am I gonna help him hunt my own kind. It's that choice of words that has sealed Uroro's fate, as he mentions hunting. As he states, yeah, witches are these vicious barbarians who go around hunting magics. As him and Discaris end up getting over an argument over hunting magics and the whole reasoning behind it. Discaris saying that they hunt magics because they kind of wreck, a lot of them are violent and wreck things for humans, but Uroro says that magics are the indigenous species of the planet and that their history goes way further back than the humans. Discaris says that he's stuck in the past, plenty of magics are helping out and cooperating with humans, as Uroro says, I didn't think there were any traitors out there, but as this argument goes on, Ichi ends up asking, are there lots of magics, ones like this? And with a twinkle in his eyes, Descaris ends up immediately coming up with the perfect idea. She says, "Why yes, there are all kinds of magics out there, and they're all super powerful and cunning prey to hunt. At present, there are over 3,185 different confirmed magics. Of those, only 402 have been acquired by witches, meaning that there are well over 2,700 most likely magics still out in the wild that still need to be acquired." As he states, "But the world still holds countless unknown magics," as we get a glorious 2-page spread of different locations as Descaris ends up talking about where these particular magics will be. They may hide in the heart of volcanoes, or in soundless depths of the ocean, or glittering heights of the sky, or in a dusty forgotten corner of someone's study. They hide in patient silence. No one's found them yet, but we know they're there. Tracking those magics down, hunting them, acquiring them, that's a witch's job, which sends shivers down Ichi's spine. Descaris says that she saw his house, and one look at it and how he lives knows that he's a hunter. Awesome image of Ichi when this is stated right away. She says normally men have zero connection to anything magic related, but through some miracle, he acquired Uroro, which gave him his power. And with that, now he has the capability of fighting and hunting magics. So, really quick break here. Really big exposition dump, which actually feels kind of natural, in comparison to a different series that went through a big exposition dump that I recently reviewed. But over 2,000 of these magics that are confirmed to be just out there in the world that the witches have to go and hunt down. Some of them will cooperate, some of them will end up causing trouble, like Uroro here, and so they'll have to fight them, go through trials, etc. Having to go through all of this showcases that Osamu Nishi has thought things out to be a wide-spanning globe-trotting adventure for Ichi to help Descaris and other witches, finding these magics to either help humanity or to be taken down and kind of be forced to be under the control of witches and humanity, which is very interesting. Uroro also stated that the history of these creatures goes back a long time before humans apparently, which does make sense based on how these creatures just appeared out of nowhere. So we got really good world building within these first 2 chapters alone, and I'm very excited to see where this could span off from here, because obviously we're going to start things off with Ichi joining the Witches Association, being Descaris' companion, kind of, her partner to an extent, in hunting down other magics in order to help out the association. Then we build the world from there. Maybe we'll have some malicious witches, some malicious magics to have to be fought, so on and so forth. Pretty standard fare. But you know what? This actually kind of reminds me a bit of Magi. If you haven't read Magi, go read it. I'll probably make a full video on that later on in the future for recommendation. But it has a similar concept. There are djinns, but instead of just out there being in the world playing hiding, they're in dungeons hidden at the very depth in a treasure room. And even once you make it there, you either get that power immediately, or you have to prove yourself to the djinn to be considered a king's candidate in order to be worthy of their power. So, kind of similar to what's going on with the magics, where you either have to defeat them in battle, or you have to pass their trial in order to gain their abilities and to gain that magic for yourself. So it reminds me a lot of Magi in that regard. So yeah, chances are I'm probably going to end up really loving this, and gives a whole boatload of possibilities for the future of this series. But back to the chapter. Uroro is definitely very concerned, calling Descaris a very sneaky witch. She's trying to convince him, an absolutely crazy person like Ichi, into doing an absolutely crazy thing, as we get an awesome image of Ichi, incredibly intense aura emanating from him as he's basically locking in. Uroro says, "This is bad, really bad. Lose this kid to the magic world," and instantly Ichi says, "I'll do it." And this image of Uroro in shock with little to no detail, it's like, God damn this witch. It's honestly hilarious. That's literally what he's thinking without saying it. It's so hilarious. And he says, I'm still not clear on all this witch and magic stuff, but I'll think about it once I've hunted a few. As Descaris says, alright then. But Uroro says, God damn, this sucks, with Descaris being incredibly smug, saying, I win, you lose. If I didn't state it already, I love Descaris. I don't care what other characters are brought into the story, she's gonna be best girl from this point forward. Descaris, with a snap of her fingers, ends up lifting the cage off of Ichi, and he says, alright, let's get off this mountain. But Ichi then looks down at the whole gash he left in the ground as he says, "You mentioned the revive spell before, right? What's the chant for that?" As the Scar says, "Be the reborn Parthion." Why? Also, like in the background, she's just looking at her mirror that apparently she's got a bunch of messages on there, so it kind of acts like her cell phone kind of in this magic world to get messages between witches, and she's like, "I'm just gonna block all these people," which is, I find it kind of hilarious. But in the very next panel, Ichi nonchalantly goes into his witch's attire, which I didn't mention this in the last chapter. He looks pretty sick in this, and I really like this whole design, looks very cool. But he's like, okay, transforms into his witch form, which shocks the Scaris, which again, her reactions to everything he does, and her reactions to literally everybody else in their decisions are hilarious. He says, "Hold on, what do you think you're doing?" As he says, "Oh, I'm just gonna try this magic stuff." So nonchalant with all this. I love how he's like, "Oh, cool, I can do this. Alright, magic time." This is definitely going to be the first couple of chapters he ends up learning new spells. This is going to be pretty fun. But the Scar says, "Don't even try. Did everything I just said just go in one ear and out the other?" But Ichi, not really thinking anything of it, just says, "Oh, I mean, I'm just going to be asleep for 3 days again, but I'll trust you to handle it." And she's like, "Wait, what?" He's like, "Before I leave on my journey, it's only right to make amends for what I did." As he jumps off the magic circle in the air, as in an awesome 2-page spread, he gets out his knife and begins to chant the spell. As he says, "I have done you wrong. Let me make it right. Parthion," with the amp of Uroro. And then we get one of the most beautiful 2-page spreads I've seen, as trees and plants begin to sprout from the ground as the forest begins to be brought back to life and revived to its full glory, perhaps even better than before, with all the plants and animals and the insects all coming back, with witches in the area just being in awe of what was just seen. With the chapter ending with another 2-page spread, with probably the largest and most overgrown forest ever just sprouting from the side of the mountain, as Uroro is exhausted and Ichi is asleep, with the Scaris getting scolded by one of the head witches, stating, "I finally got through to you, and what do I see? What in all the heavens is going on there? Where did that whole ass forest come from?" As the Scaris are just hanging from a branch, with Ichi just passed down in the background, and she's like, "Maybe I'll just dump him in the woods somewhere and leave." Ending the chapter. So, this was another fun chapter. I really had so much fun. The interactions between the Scaris and Ichi and Uroro, just that whole group dynamic so far just is a lot of fun, and I'm enjoying it. Right off the bat, the Scaris' facial reactions, amazing. Ichi's nonchalant, just abuse of magic in this instance, as he doesn't really get everything. He's like, "Oh, okay, I can do this. Let's go with this magic shit." The world building of the living magic, the magics, and how at least are confirmed that we know of and given a flat out number that we can look at, and there's potentially more out there that will be discovered. There is a lot that has gone into this series and has been thought out. I am incredibly excited to see what happens in the future for this series, because if this does do well, and I do think it will, because we are talking about the writer of Welcome to Demon School Iruma-kun, one of the most popular manga of all time that isn't in Shonen Jump, and probably one of the most beloved artists in the world right now, especially in Japan, being a team for Weekly Shonen Jump's latest weekly serialization. So, gents to say, the hype is real for this series, and it's a well-deserved hype, and I'm really excited to see what is going to come out from these two working together. Will I make a review of Chapter 3 onwards? I honestly have no idea. Depends on what I have planned for future videos before the end of the year, but I might just do that, I might not. I haven't fully decided on it. If these videos keep doing well, I might end up reviewing the series even more. But for the time being, that's gonna be it from me. What did you guys think of this chapter? What do you feel about the world building, the character interactions? Is the Scaris officially just gonna be canonically best girl throughout the entirety of the series for however long this ends up being? Are you excited to see what's gonna happen in the future with the powers, the different magics, and Ichi's character growth throughout the series, and how we'll deal with these different situations? Let me know in the comment section down below. And once again, if you haven't already, like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps, and it shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. And if you want to hear me talk this out with other people, go check out my anime podcast once again, Shonen Pulse, on the Panel Focus YouTube channel, link in the description below if you want to see the next episode of our podcast. to get our thoughts on this series and others like it. And with all that said and done, I hope you all have an awesome day.